As more Russian troops amass at Ukraine's border, threats of war have led to very real scenarios of what could happen if diplomacy fails. First, Russia uses a fake reason to launch an attack, sometimes called a false flag, and that leads to war in Ukraine.
We have reason to believe that they are engaged in a false flag operation to have an excuse to go in.
State Secretary Antony Blinken told the UN Security Council how a Russian invasion could begin.
Russian missiles and bombs will drop across Ukraine. Communications will be jammed. Cyberattacks will shut down key Ukrainian institutions.
Blinken added more specific details of how the attack would be carried out.
We have information that indicates Russia will target specific groups of Ukrainians. After that, Russian tanks and soldiers will advance on key targets that have already been identified.
Blinken said Russia could also use drone strikes and chemical warfare. And today, with tensions high, Russia announced massive drills of its nuclear forces. Thursday, NATO's Secretary General warned how dangerous a war could be.
We have seen also Iskander missiles in Belarus. And Iskander missiles are dual-capable missiles that can also carry nuclear warheads.
This is the exact kind of crisis that the United Nations, and specifically this Security Council, was created to prevent.
Russia argued that any attempts to place the blame on Russia are futile and blameless. Blinken said he was not at the UN to start a war, but to prevent one.
We are laying it out in great detail, with the hope that by sharing what we know with the world, we can influence Russia to abandon the path of war and choose a different path while there's still time.
In Ukraine itself, support for joining NATO, the very thing Vladimir Putin doesn't want, is now at an all-time high. For a look at the reaction from Ukrainians to the threat of an invasion, here's CBN's George Thomas from the city of Lviv in Ukraine.
Restaurant owner Herihori Raiba is frustrated that 31 years after Ukraine gained independence from Russia, it still lacks freedom of control.
Everyone else wants to decide our future for us, but I don't want Europe, the United States, NATO or Russia to decide our freedom. We are not a country of beggars.
With 150,000 Russian forces along the border, Raiba feels that his homeland is reduced to a pawn between great powers.
Ukraine is the playground for war between Russia and the West. Putin shows the world he can do whatever he wants to with Ukraine, and he does it. And then he taunts the world to see if they'll do anything in response.
A meme that's gone viral in Ukraine in recent days shows Russia's president threatening the West. Ukrainians speaking with CBN News say these are belligerent actions of a playground bully who uses coercion and threats of invasion to get what he wants.
He's a bully, like a hooligan, in the international arena. And I don't like how leaders of Western countries try to appease him. We need to confront him and stop negotiating with him.
Putin wants guarantees from the West, including a pledge to never allow Ukraine to join NATO. Germany's chancellor has floated the idea of giving into that as a way to avert war.
So they are now talking with our enemies behind our backs and not inviting us to these meetings that concern our future.
Many Russia watchers say the NATO membership question isn't the real issue because what Putin fears most is a country next door that's free, democratic, and wants closer ties with the West. Putin believes Russians and Ukrainians are one people, one language, and one country. Ukrainians disagree.
He cannot accept a liberal and free Ukraine. He cannot imagine a Russia without Ukraine. It's really so painful to see because of this one person, a lot of people are suffering. You need to remember, he is mentally ill.
In survey after survey, when asked about the one thing that would make them feel positive about their country, the majority of Ukrainians said freedom. And today the polls show that so many Ukrainians want to not only join NATO, but also the European Union.
I think that's why Putin is angry, because we are a free people, we are a free country. And maybe this is the reason why he wants to invade our country and take away our freedom, so we can be like Russia.
With rumors of war swirling, people here repeatedly tell us this is a clear battle between freedom and tyranny. Ukrainians are prepared to sacrifice it all to remain free. George Thomas, CBN News, Lviv, Ukraine.